Hello and welcome. You're watching News9 Live. A very hectic and important day at the Supreme Court, even as it began hearing arguments on a batch of pleas seeking legal validation of same-sex marriages. The case is being heard by a 5-judge constitutional bench comprising Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice S.K. Kaul, S.R. Bhatt, Hima Kohli and P.S. Narasimha. Appearing for the centre is S.G. Tushar Mehta, whereas senior advocate Mukul Rohtgi is appearing for the petitioners. The opinions are, however, sharply divided. The centre has raised preliminary objections to the Supreme Court hearing. Its opinion, Parliament is the only constitutionally permissible forum to decide on creation of a new social relationship. That's what it said. And now let's dive straight into this very important debate. In the studio, my colleague Brijesh Pandey is joining us, and of course we shall be joined by guests Sonal Giani, who is a LGBTQIA plus activist, and also Harish Iyer, who is a lawyer and also rights activist. Brijesh, two aspects to it. One is the morality aspects, and the other is about the practicality aspect of it. What is more concerning for you? Because a lot of people are saying that, is it even practical? I mean, morality, I can second guess what you're thinking, Brijesh.
Well, I think, the practical aspect is that we always have problem whenever you come up with a new solution to any existing problem. And there are aspects like, when Kapil Sibal said that, that we are not opposed to this thing. But what we are concerned about is the entire practical aspect, which is how does the divorce take place, what about the succession, and so on and so forth. So the court said, for that, we will appoint you as a friend of the court so that you can decide on how to go about it in this particular case.
Right.
See, the problem is the practicality aspect is there, and the dangers are real. Nobody is denying that.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that, we also have to understand that we are not living in 16th or 17th century anymore. And the fact is that, new laws can be framed. Laws which are people friendly rather than looking down upon same-sex people. A few years before, the very word same-sex attracted criminal and penal punishment.
Yes, true.
And for for somebody to have a sexual preferences and being criminalized and stigmatized by it is nothing short of being criminal on the part of the government, on the part of the lawmakers, and that includes everybody. We know, practically people say that, okay, now if you're a same-sex couple, you're not a criminal. But the reality is, that the way they are treated and the way the society treats them, we have to still come to a long way before we actually come to a situation where the acceptability rate is pretty much high.
Yeah.
And I think, there are concerns, there are real concerns, but I think there is no concern which is so difficult that you cannot frame laws
Absolutely,
to tackle exact those problems.
Yeah, because in the times of our grandmothers, there was child marriage.
Absolutely.
It got abolished. Marriage as institutional, has evolved. It has undergone change. And I think, like you said, we need to adapt it. If something is archaic, we can always look at it through the new lens. That's what. But is this country ready, Brijesh? Because
I don't think it is ready, because people can say a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like this. There was a article which was written by Mr. Vivek Katju,
Yeah.
your Andhuti Katju's, which is the original petitioner, her father. The best thing about the article, the line which really moved me was the fact that he did not try to whitewash his feelings. He
Right.
said that the second my daughter opened up to me, I went into a state of depression, in the sense that, I was taken aback. I could not believe that this could happen to me. So the initial denial, the pain, the
Yes.
trauma, he described it exactly the way he underwent it.
Yeah.
That was a very honest admission.
And it's not being homophobic. It's more about, like you say, slowly accepting.
Absolutely. This is not homophobic.
Yeah,
this is not homophobic.
Not at all. That,
homophobic is a completely different thing.
Yes.
He narrated his ordeal exactly the
As a
way he
parent,
experienced it as a parent.
Yeah.
And we may say, but like suppose tomorrow my son comes, opens up and say that he has a different preferences. Anybody who says that, oh, I accepted it immediately, basically is lying. It takes time, because we are product of a particular conditioning. And when you are a product of a particular conditioning, to say that you can break that conditioning immediately is nothing but a lie. But the fact is, whether you have a mental bandwidth to adjust to a new reality shows how robust, shows how fit you are as a human being living in a particular society.
Right. Let's get the guests in now. Sonal Giani is joining us, and of course Harish Iyer as well, who's a lawyer and rights activist. Sonal, to you first. You know, I just want to talk about what the general perception is, because whenever there are new laws which are brought in, the perception and which are actually embedded in the cultural mores of a society, that's very important. You know, at one time, bottled water was also considered to be an urban elite concept, and so was mobile phones. The government of the day says same-sex marriage is urban and elite concept. Your first comment on that. How can some be rural and urban when it comes to love or relationship between two people?
I think that it's very incorrect actually factually to say that it's a very urban concept, because you will find that actually in India there have been numerous couples from small towns and cities who may have no idea of the law who have actually in fact got married. You know, it's a separate thing that they may not have a legal rights attached to that marriage, but marriages have been happening, and they are very much present even in our, you know, these kind of queer marriages. They are very much present in our Hindu texts as well. But I do find that in the last few years, especially, the conversation around marriage has come up logically. You know, your friends or people that you come out to in this time, automatically the next question is now, you know, what ahead? And the logical next step is obviously to give marriage rights to our community.
Right. Harish, let me bring you in. I know it really helps because you're also a lawyer, of course, being a rights activist and also an author who writes prolifically on the subject and many others. Harish, the point is there is a big debate going on, you know, when it comes to the Hindu Marriage Act or the Special Marriage Act, and about how it is gender neutral, etc., etc. But, you know, I was reading how, you know, the head of child rights activists have also said that, you know, they are against it, because what does the child then understand? I mean, so far as gender recognition is concerned. So why don't you just talk about the several, what the devil's advocate are propagating about the dangers when it comes to same-sex marriage, Harish Iyer?
First of all, I'm not a lawyer. I'm one of the petitioners in
my apologies. Sorry.
Petition. I'll tell you a very simple thing. My niece, one day, she was all of 8 years of age. I've never educated her, never told her about what my sexuality or what my gender was. She just understood. And there was this one day when she had to draw a complete family in one of her college, one of her school. She was in third standard or something, and she had to draw something, 8 years of age. And she drew me holding the hand of another person, and she drew herself, because I was holding the other hand, I was holding her. And then she drew a balloon which was rainbow in color, and she labeled me as Harish Mama, and she labeled my partner as Boy Mommy. She didn't know what gay was, she didn't know what lesbian was, she didn't know what LGBTQ was, but she understood the concept that there are two people who are in love with her and love with each other, and they both happen to be men. So it's Boy Mama and Boy Mommy. She possibly didn't understand it from the concept of heterosexuality or homosexuality. She just knew that there was Mama who was in love with another person who was also a man, and because the one who falls in love with a Mama is a Mommy, she just assumed that that person would be a Boy Mama. So it is that simple. What two people do, how two people fall in love with each other, how they plan to live their lives with each other is not the concern of anybody. In fact, if there is legal recognition, it'll solve many problems. Solve many problems where whether it's children who are finding it, children are not the ones who discriminate. Children are not the ones who learn and who, but there's also this concept that people have that possibly children will learn and they will become gay. I have lived in a heterosexual world all my life. All my nephews and nieces and all my relatives, everyone, including the niece I'm speaking about, all of them are heterosexual. I have not turned heterosexual, okay, despite it being a more easier option.
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes to influence in society, yes, we will influence people in society to a limit that people who are from the LGBTQ community will find the courage to come out and be true to what they are,
Right.
and be out and about it. It's a good thing to happen in society rather than spoiling the life of other people by getting embroiled in heterosexual marriages. That's
Right.
not what we want as a society.
Right.